So recently, I've seen several pieces of performative drama in social media and floating around the Starfield community itself about the community being outraged over paid mods, and I wish to give a little bit of perspective on this. So here's the graph of Steam reviews. Now, a lot of videos I've seen will only show the right-hand side of this graph without showing the left-hand side, which is the total since the inception of the game. So this needs to be understood that the most recent reviews are kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the total reviews. So there's a little bit of data manipulation going on here to say that there's this massive outrage in the community. What I have seen in the community has been overall has been rather positive in regards to mods as in general. Now there has been some feedback about the pricing structure and how Bethesda is bundling their mods. Me personally, I would prefer if they were doing something like a mini DLC and doing that through a mod, like say 5 or 6 quests instead of just one, with several pieces of gear, and maybe charge like $10 to $15. But I understand that they're doing one quest, charging $7. I think it's a little steep, but they're testing the market. They're seeing who buys it, if it's viable to charge that amount. And they're probably going to get the feedback. And from the most recent interview Todd Howard did, it did seem like he received a lot of the feedback and is going to be looking into how they price it and how they bundle it. So I think in the future what we'll be seeing is, like I described, like a mini DLC, like 5 to 6 quests, several pieces of gear, and a price point somewhere between like $10 and $15. So basically 2 trips to Starbucks. And I think that would be a fair price. As far as like the whole how dare they charge for mods for their game, they're putting in work into this content, and I think it's perfectly fine that they ask for compensation. Like, people should be compensated for their work at the end of the day. I believe people should absolutely be compensated for their work, just long as they're asking for a fair compensation. If it's a little bit over that, I'm just not going to buy it. I'm not outraged about it. It's just not for me. Some content's not going to be for me, and that's perfectly fine. So, like, this has been a lot of performative drama, in my opinion. Like, corporate greed, when I think of corporate greed, I think of, people paying $500 for their diabetes medicine. I don't think of someone being charged $7 for a quest that they don't need to survive, and is just solely entertainment. That's not corporate greed. So, in my opinion, that kind of weakens that term, and I kind of wish they wouldn't be so hyperbolic, because we really do see corporate greed in the real world. This is not corporate greed. This is them just asking for compensation for the work they're doing, which is fine. And just to move on to the next topic here, as far as private modders being able to monetize their creations on the Creations Club, I am all for this, and from what I've seen from the modding community, they're all for this as well. My understanding was, majority of these people do this as a hobby, because they're not able to make enough money doing this to do it as a full-time gig. This opens this up as a possibility. And there seems to be a lot of how dare, Bethesda's going to be taking money from those modders. Well, here's the thing. Bethesda's also doing work in facilitating the transaction for that modder so they get compensated. They're also doing work in housing the mod for them, in distributing the mod to their customer. So of course Bethesda's going to take a little bit of a skim. And not to mention, they also gave them the tools to mod their game. So, and the permission as well. They own the intellectual property that they're modding. This seems perfectly fine that they do take a skim. My only thing would be is I would like a little bit more transparency around it. Like, how much is Bethesda taking? I hope it's not like 50%. I hope it's more like 7% or 8%. I think that would be reasonable. Just long as majority of that money is going to the modder, I am happy with that. And I know how they were being compensated before was rather scanty. It was basically based off of donations. And as someone who has downloaded several mods for Bethesda games in the past, I've never once donated. You're going to have to force me to give you money. I'm kind of a Scrooge. I think most people are that way. So I highly suspect that the percentage of downloads to donations was extremely low, like less than 1%. So this is kind of a new game for those modders, and I'm sure they're excited about it. And from what I've seen from them, they are excited about it. A lot of them are very ecstatic about it. This opens up a whole new ball game for them. A lot of them are going to be able to quit their jobs and do this full time, which is a good thing at the end of the day for Starfield. It's going to allow these modders to basically, do this full time and keep this game going for the next 10 years. And then just to go on a little bit further about the outrage over paid mods, we really need to understand that, if you go on to Creations right now, there's probably less than 10 paid mods. And there is probably a couple, there's probably a couple hundred free mods. And in this video, I'm actually running several of the free mods, which has rather improved the gameplay, in my opinion. So, like, I don't understand. I understand why this content's being fed out. It's because people have like a negativity bias, and they want to be negative about something. And right now, it's kind of Starfield. Let's be negative and hate on Starfield and Bethesda, and I think it's rather toxic. In my opinion, they've kind of like, I know in the past we've joked about Todd Howard and his janky video games, which I do enjoy, but as of late there seems to be a lot of demonization of Bethesda in general and Todd Howard in general, and I think they need to give the company and the man a fair shake. He's a human being at the end of the day, and those are human employees working for Bethesda, and the game's perfectly fine, including its flaws, including its mods. The modding community is wonderful. They're doing wonders to kind of, I wouldn't say fix this game, more like enhance this game. So there's some fine touches they're doing, like in the cave system earlier, you saw the brighter flashlight. That was, in my opinion, I would call that kind of a fix, but that's kind of like small potatoes. Like, the game was functional, it worked fine, it was fun, it was entertaining prior to mods. But the modding community is getting the opportunity to enhance this game. And the vast majority of mods right now are free, and I suspect they'll probably always be free, because what we will see is you'll see some content creators get verified, and they will be able to monetize their mods. But there will always be a new batch of people trying to become verified, and they will put up some free content till they get verified. So there'll always be that inflow of free content. So if you're the gamer on the budget, I would not freak out about paid mods. I think you're going to always see free mods on the Creation Club. There's always going to be people that are going to just tinker with stuff and like, here's my free mod. And then you'll have, as they become better and better at the gig and they get verified, they'll start charging for some of their content. And that's fine. I think people should be compensated at the end of the day. And not everyone's going to be able to pay for those paid mods, and that's okay. There'll be plenty of free mods out there. So there's that. And I guess to move to another topic, I know I've been asked to kind of cover mods, and this is going to be kind of how I'm approaching mods with this game. So I really like the theme of Starfield. I love the theme, I love the story. So when I am approaching mods, what I am doing is I am trying to maintain the theme of Starfield.
Hello.
So what does this mean? Like, I'll download things like that, the brighter flashlight.
If you may ask.
That doesn't really change the theme of Starfield. As we can see, I got a new outfit for Outraged here. That
is all. Very well.
It's not really changing the theme of Starfield. One of the things I'm probably not going to do is I'm not going to be covering Star Wars mods or Halo mods. If I wanted to play Halo, I'd play Halo. Or I'd play Star Wars. And I've played those games before. I do enjoy them. And there might come a day when I actually do download and play those. But as of right now, I am still enjoying Starfield for what Starfield is. And that's kind of how I'm going to be covering mods, is I'm going to be covering mods in a way where I'm looking at what mods enhance Starfield and don't change Starfield. So what that could entail would be
might find it absurd, but honestly,
stuff like the flashlight. I also have a companion, improved companion behavior as well, and so companions no longer get angry, they follow at appropriate distances, etc.
There are worlds beyond count out
there. That's basically how I'm going to be covering them. I wouldn't mind if there are small quests added in or points of interest. As long as they fit the Starfield theme, I will be all about it at the end of the day. So,
what did you need?
I just don't want to change my Starfield into Star Wars. At least I'm not ready for that yet. So I'll be doing a couple videos on mods and covering that.
Yes.
And
that is all.
Releasing that content. Basically, probably a list of mods I'm using to enhance my Starfield experience. So look for that in the coming days. And this has been a nice talk. I hope you have a good night. And this is basically my opinion on mods. Like, I think it's fine that Bethesda gets compensated for mods. I think it's fine that modders get compensated for mods. And I think it's great that we still have a plethora of free mods and an avenue basically to get free mods in the future. So I think a lot of the rhetoric around like players being outraged over paid mods is kind of ridiculous, to say the least. But thank you. I hope you have a good night. If you disagree with me, comment it below, but please have a rational thought when you comment below. Like if you just say Starfield sucks and modders are fixing it, I'm probably going to ignore you.